Good musical morning, grade 11s and 12s. My name is Colleen and I am a French horn student at Brandon University. Today we're going to talk about some different exercises you can do while you're practicing at home. Let's get started. The most important thing to establish before you begin to play is a proper mouthpiece warm-up. Now today we're going to talk about a way in which to warm up your low range first, and then we're going to move on to a more challenging mouthpiece warm-up that encompasses the high range and the low range and incorporates different articulations. Now for the first part of our mouthpiece warm-up, we're going to buzz on the lowest pitch that we can and hold it for as long as we can. It could sound something like this, but it doesn't have to be any specific note. And just keep on holding it until you feel that your lips are vibrating. Once your embouchure is engaged by holding that lowest note that you can, we're going to do a mini siren down there. So it'll sound something like this. Just to make sure that your low range is engaged before we get started. We're going to work on the more challenging warm-up. What we're going to do is we're going to choose a mid-tone, doesn't have to be a specific pitch again, but choose something in the middle that feels comfortable. And we're going to descend a perfect fifth, come back, descend, come back, and when we enter back onto that middle pitch, we're going to do a rhythmic motif with our articulations. So first I'll show you what that descending part sounds like. 1, 2, 3. Once we get back to that middle pitch and we're holding it, this is the rhythm that we're going to articulate. Now, this is a great way to practice double tonguing. Instead of the traditional way of tonguing like this, you can sometimes get tongue-tied with that. Instead, you're going to utilize the back of your throat and do something that sounds like you're saying tu-ku, tu-ku. Practice saying that rhythm a few times. And once you feel comfortable with it, try putting everything together. I know this is a lot of information to start off with, but I'll show you what I mean. Here's what the first part of our warm-up will sound like. 1, 2, 3. Once we have the first part established, we're going to move downwards in a chromatic fashion. We're going to take the first note we started on and go down a semitone and start again from there. Down a fifth, up, down a fifth, up with our rhythmic motif. So I'll do a pattern of 3 reps and I'll show you what that will sound like. 1, 2, 3. So work your way downwards as far as you can go. Then, once you've gone as far as you can, we're going to move our way upwards. So we're going to come back to that middle pitch we began with and continue with the same pattern, but this time going upwards in a chromatic fashion. So I'll play you 3 reps going up to show you what that will sound like. 1, 2, 3. So work your way upwards as far as you can go, and remember not to push yourself too hard that it hurts. Just make sure that everything is relaxed in the corners of your mouth and that your embouchure feels ready to play. Now this is a great mouthpiece warm-up because not only does it get your lips engaged to play both in your low register and your high register, it gets you familiarized with double tonguing so that when you have very quick passages to play on the horn, you don't have to struggle with tonguing simply with the sort of pattern, because that can become really difficult. So when you learn how to properly use double tonguing, it makes fast passages a lot easier. Also, by slurring down a fifth like that, it helps you to practice when you have multiple notes on the horn that have the same fingering, and the only way that you can change pitch is with your embouchure and your air. The next thing I'm going to show you is actually how to warm up your low register by slurring downwards and only changing pitch with your embouchure. Now this exercise comes from the Maxime Alphonse book 2 and it's number 17. For this purpose, we're only going to play the first 12 measures, but if you'd like to push your range and see how far you can get in this exercise, I encourage you to try it out for yourself. I'll put the description box link down below so that you can find the PDF on IMSLP and download it for free. It's going to be in octave slurs, so we're going to start with G, move down to E, down to C, and then do low G. Hold that for a bar. Then come back up to E, go to C, low G, and then low E. Come back up to C, low G, low E, and then low C. And then we're going to return with that same pattern, coming back up to G. Now this exercise is written in 3/2 time. If you're not familiar with this time signature, you can just think of it like it's a longer version of 3/4. Here's what it sounds like. 1, 2. Now, if you feel the need to tongue the last 2 or 3 notes just to give it some added clarity, go right ahead. It's something you can work towards, though, to be able to slur everything at once. Personally, I start off every day of playing with this warm-up because it really engages my low range. And then once I feel that that's ready to go, I start doing some different scale patterns that are a bit higher up. But it really is important to start with the basics, right at the foundation of your range. Now, the next 2 exercises we're going to work on are both for the growth of your range. We're going to start with an exercise from F. Patrick's book, and I'll put a link in the description box if you're interested in purchasing it. It's only about $20, but it's my go-to, so it's a very good resource to have. Now, this interval drill is for octaves, but F. Patrick's book has interval drills for seconds all the way up to the full octaves. I chose to do the octaves with you today because I feel like this is the one that will help you to push your range the most. 1, 2, 3. While you're practicing the exercise that I just played for you, make sure that you're breathing from your tummy and not from up here in your chest, because the only way you're going to hit those low notes smoothly is by using lots and lots of air. Now we'll be focusing on a few scale drills from F. Patrick's book. We're going to play the C major scale, the G major scale, and the B flat major scale. Now with each version, we're going to add some different articulations to the 16th notes to give it a little bit of diversity. So for the C scale drill, we're going to start on the same low C that we began with in the last exercise where we did our octave leaps. Here's what that sounds like. 1, 2, 3. When playing this one at home, try and use some dynamic contrast so that when you start at the bottom of your scale, it's piano, and when you get to the top of the scale, it's forte, and then you work your way back down to piano again. Now, for the G major scale, let's add some articulations. Do you see those 16th notes on beats 2 and 4? We're going to slur the first two and then tongue the second two, so it'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3. Now for the B-flat scale drill, we're going to add some slurs. So if you look at the little run of 16th notes that you have, there's 6 in a row, we're going to slur the first two, tongue the middle two, and slur the last two, and do that same pattern for every set of 16th notes in the excerpt. Here's what that will sound like. 1, 2, 3. Now our final exercise for this lesson is going to be number 9 from the Maxime Alphonse book 1. I will also link that book in the description box so that you can download it for free. Now this exercise is in 6/8 time, so it has a very dance-like feeling to it. In fact, underneath the first bar it says espressivo, which means very expressive. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on articulations and dynamics throughout this excerpt and pay close attention to the key change that happens too. Here's what it sounds like. Thank you so much for joining me today for this lesson. We learned different types of exercises that you can incorporate into your practice at home. If you're interested in learning other exercises along with a 2-octave chromatic scale, please check out my video that I made for the grade 10s. Happy practicing and stay safe, everyone!